absolutely beautiful. I want to say good morning, and I'm so grateful to be here. You honor me by inviting me. I want to thank Patricia and Jessica for inviting me here. I'm just overjoyed, so to speak. And one thing I loved about the drive is that here was Soul Center nestled between these mountains. Isn't that cool? And it just reminds me again that the spiritual center is not just a building, but it's the people who occupy it. And so I want to thank you because I can feel that you're doing some powerful work. And what you're doing is making a difference on the planet. And so I want to thank you because I felt it so strong driving in the park, and I said, oh my God, there's some powerful work being done here. So I want to thank you in advance for that. This morning I know my title is Innocence, and it sounds so serious. I say, that's such a serious title, Reverend Man. But I really want to talk about our original childlike state. That childlike state that one wants to explore, wants to discover, wants to touch, wants to feel, wants to know. And that's who we are. We came here like that before someone said, no, don't be that way. You know, the world's a dangerous place. Don't do that. Those people are bad. Don't go across there. Don't do that. But we came here as pure and innocent explorers. We came here with such a pure heart. We came here knowing that life is good. We came here knowing that before someone told us differently. And I'm a big fan of Leo Pascalio, God bless his heart. And he always likes to hug. You know what I mean? He just will hug anybody. And I remember one time he spoke to a group of visually impaired young people, those who were blind. And at the end of this talk, one of the young persons came up, a young lady said, Dr. Pascalia, can I braille you? And he was like, oh yes, he was so excited to be brailled. I want to ask you, have you ever been brailled? Because we want to know each other at such a deep and profound level. You know what I mean? We're such magnificent beings. We're such, with such potential and such power. I think about Emerson, who says, man, and I'm going to add woman for this instance, he said that man, woman, if you but knew who you are, no sun, no moon could stop you. If you just but knew who you are. And so, this week, so much has been on my heart. This month, as a matter of fact. I mean, the last 2 months, I want to say. A lot has been on my heart. And I had to put myself in check. And I knew I wouldn't be any good if I was wallowing in sympathy and hurt. I had such a heavy heart. And I want to talk about our innocence. And I want to get back to, and I looked up in Webster, and Webster says innocence is freedom from sin or mortal wrong. And I want to just clarify, because my definition of sin is self-inflicted nonsense. Yeah. I was hoping you'd be okay with that. Because we go around with this thing, and I'm thinking, wow, are you kidding me? Really? When God has such I loved you with an everlasting love. Yes. And I talked to the children, I said, what does everlasting mean? And the little kids always say, forever. It's endless, it doesn't end. God has loved us. So how can we be anything but? And I tell them, I said, right where you are, is endless possibilities. And I don't care where you've been. I don't care who has diagnosed you. I don't care what you've been sentenced, especially when I talk to the older kids. I don't care if you have a sentence and you haven't had a full range of education. Right where you are, infinite possibilities exist for you. And I say, I don't care what your color, I don't care what your cultural background, infinite possibilities exist for you and I. And so I related this innocence to pure, and Webster said that's free from anything of a different, inferior, or contaminating kind. In other words, we're pure. Regardless of the situation, regardless of the experience. I always have to remind people, you are not your experience. And we don't want to spend a lot of time talking about the experience, but we just want to know it has come that we might awaken and get back to that perfect state. So when I talk about innocence, I'm talking about that original state that knows that, oh, life is good. Now let me go out and explore this beautiful life. One of the things that I've been grappling with for the past 2 months is the extreme level of violence, and there's several that really hit me. But one of them that hit me really hard was what happened in Orlando. And I refuse to do a spiritual bypass. I refuse to say, oh, another mass murder, mass killings. I refuse. I allow myself to really feel it. I allow myself to grieve. I allow myself to experience what was going on in my body. And I remember, I was born and raised in Chicago, in the inner city, in the ghettos of Chicago, in the projects to be exact. And I remember one day, I was sitting there doing my homework. I was the only one at home. It was many years ago. And officers knocked at my door. The police knocked on my door, and they said, excuse us, but can we use your phone because we need to report a suicide. And I said, wow. Happened, and they said a young lady just hung herself 2 doors down. And I knew her. She was older than me, but I knew her well. And I looked at the officer's face, and it was routine business for them. And I said, wow. I had to be like 12, I think, might be 10. And I looked at their faces, and I saw how routine it was, the reporting and the cross your eyes. Cross your T's, dot your, all that. But I noticed that it was like a common experience for them. And I said as a young kid, I said, I never want to get that way. I never want to make that commonplace. I never want to make someone's suffering or death, etc., commonplace. And I say all that because I was determined after this that I would become an integral part of our world in helping to alleviate the need to kill or murder someone. I was in deep prayer. I said, how can I be an instrument, what they were singing, how can I be an instrument for more love on this planet? And one of the things that hit me about the Orlando experience is that I noticed in these young people, most of them were kids. I want to call them babies. But I noticed in the reports, one of the first things that many of them said after they were being recorded, they said, the first thing I did was I called my mother. And their mothers guided them. Their mothers would call the police. And I said, wow. There was a touch of such innocence for these young people, for me. And for me, I wanted to be a part of the solution because here was young people just partying and dancing and brailing the world, so to speak. And we're cut down. And so one of the things that I decided, I went into deep prayer. And I wanted to make sure that this would not make me numb or cold. I would not look at this and say another killing. I would not look at the killings, even Chicago, and the shootings and all these young people in Chicago. I wanted to be a part of the solution. And one of the things that I was in deep prayer, and this poem came to me, and I wrote this a little bit after the Orlando shootings. And it's called Innocence, and it's dedicated to those young people in Orlando. And it sort of describes what I see around our world with many people because we've been so sensitized, so to speak, to our own brothers and sisters. And it's called Innocence. It says, yesterday I walked amongst the roses, the daffodils, and the lotus. Today I ran to the quickest way home to avoid us. Yesterday I danced into the morning light. Today I sit on the sidelines, far out of sight. Yesterday I floated amongst the sun, moon, and stars. Today I close my eyes, my mind, and my heart. Yesterday I would tread where no one's ever been before. Today I simply scoff and say, what for? Yesterday I believed. Today I find it hard to conceive. And then one day came a tremendous insight. I caught a glimpse of that in darkness there is light. I saw this light shine not from outside, but I woke up to see it emanating from where I abide. Today I share, yesterday I would never let down my guard. I'm going to say that again. Yesterday I would never let down my guard. Today I share my love, my gifts, and my heart. Yesterday I saw the horror, the mayhem, and the hopelessness of our plight. Today I stand as the light. Yesterday I let the world dictate my every action. Today I follow my heart for real satisfaction. Yesterday I couldn't face another day. Today I see that I am a solution, an answer, the way. And so I wrote that so that I would never forget that there's still that innocence. That in spite of appearances, there's still light. There's still hope. Because we are here. There's still potential. There's still power. There's still possibilities because we are here. And I no longer look for the leader. Because we have the prescription. We have the solutions. We have the potential to see, just like George Washington Carver, who would get up at 4 in the morning and talk to the plants. And he would discover 350 uses for something as small as the peanut. Cosmetic uses. Today we have still the potential to see that there's so much more to us. And we can redirect. Today we can be the true leader that sees the light inside the darkness. Today we have still the potential to walk by faith and not by sight. Today we have the power to know that most of us see in part, We don't see the whole picture. And when I speak at memorial services, I have to remind people that life is a continuous flow. You know, I'm a big sunset watcher. I love rushing to watch a sunset. Oh my God, I sit there and I cry. Oh my God, I say, this is so beautiful. Only God could have created this. I mean, the colors, the timbre. And I sit, but at the same time, just as the sun begins to set, I begin to say to myself, there's a part of me that's saying, oh my son is leaving me. But at that very same moment, somewhere in the east, just as I'm saying good night, somebody is saying good morning. But if I just trusted my eyes, I would think that my son is leaving. And we know that the sun never moved. Here's the thing. The sun never moved. It was our rotation. It was our positioning. It was our eyes that tells the story. And so we see in part. And so it behooves us not to judge partly. I had a young man in my office, and you know, he had a million complaints, and I understood them. I just want to do this really quickly. I had a young man in my office, and it just came up the top of my head because he had so many complaints, and I just took a blank sheet of paper and I put a hole in there, and I said, I want you to tell me what you see. And he tried to describe it, and he tried to describe it, and he tried to describe it. And he says, well, I see a pink shirt with a name on it. And I see, and then I said, I want you to take the sheet down. And I want you to describe what you see. And I said, originally when you were looking at this, you saw in part. But now if you take off, when you begin to awaken, you begin to see there's so much more to us than just looking through a single hole. And it's looking through your purview. Remember, we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. And so it behooves us to continue to braille the world, to begin to discover, to begin to open up, to begin to open out a way. Where we begin to awaken and say, oh my God, I was blind, but now I see. What's the song? Amazing Grace. I was blind, but now I see. I misjudged you. I was mistaken the whole time. But now you awaken to see a new horizon. You awaken to see new possibilities. But you first have to see them for yourself. So this morning I'm going to ask you to continue to braille the world if you stop brailing. If you were yesterday closed. But today I want you to begin to see a new possibility, a new horizon. I want you to see clearly. There's one of my favorite songs that I'm just going to share a little bit with you in this. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. We're gonna do it well one more time. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. One more time, okay? It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. I love love you so much. Remain childlike, not childish, okay? But remain childlike and to know that there have been no mistakes, like I said in the meditation. Right where you sit, you're here on purpose. And I invite you to resist the chorus of criticism and judgment, and I invite you to be the solution. I invite you to be the answer. I invite you to be the way. And so it is.
I forgot this. Oh yes, I'm going to call the ushers. I know my responsibility is not. Okay. I invite the ushers up as we prepare our tithes and our offering. And our children are coming in also.